So today we have made a journey down to Bree in Escorty, County Wexford. We're visiting the Dunne family. So here beside me I have Henry and Ger. So Ger, could I invite you to give a description to the family farm here and what you do?
Right, well, you're very welcome, obviously. I'm delighted to see Robotic here. We had a dairy herd here since 1950 in my father's day, always supplying liquid milk to Snow Cream Wexford, which became Glanbia, and we're still continuing with that liquid contract. And we decided a couple of years ago, more, 3 or 4 years ago, that we needed to upgrade our facilities. So at that point, looking around, we talked to getting Robotic involved to do the farmyard design and planning as we moved to a robotic system. We were looking at various options, and we were delighted to involve a company who had specialist knowledge in this area.
So Ger, so it's fair to say your system of milk production here is quite different to what we would see across the country. So up to, say, before this development, were you grazing cows?
Yeah, we grazed cows and then housed during the winter. We concentrated a lot on winter milk production. We've always fed, or for the last 30 years, we've been using a TMR and feeding maize and forages to try and boost winter milk production. But during the summer, they'd graze.
Okay.
And so it was a big change for us to go to a fully housed system.
So what was the main challenge with the farm, say that you didn't continue grazing cows, say?
Most of the farmyard is in the corner of an 80-hectare block of land.
Okay.
So you were always walking, you were crossing roads, and we just needed to upgrade the whole facilities. That led to a greenfield site, and once we explored greenfield site, it seemed foolish not to go with the technology that's out there, and robotic technology is the way forward, in my view, for cow welfare and human welfare as well.
Okay. And say, when you were planning the whole project, did you travel many farms, or did you travel abroad, or what kind of research did you do?
We did. Henry and I and my eldest son, Simon, we went and looked at farms all over this country, but also in Holland, and explored the various options with robotics, and just the way they fed their cows and the way the cows were so content on some of the units we saw. And we've had farms visit here who had experience with robots, so we did a good bit of research into it.
Okay. So Henry, could you explain the design process when you started looking, and how long did it take to build the project?
Well, we started in about the summer of 2017. John O'Callaghan came up here and we did an initial meeting and a chat around. And after a few sketches and stuff, we came up with an idea and we found a location. And then John did a survey for us. And once we got the survey, and then Robotic undertook the planning permission, which is a really important phase, and took the hassle and the hardship out of that for us. And when we got approved, we began and we broke ground. I think it was the 1st of June 2018, and we were just 6 months, just over 6 months. A fabulous year to build in the summer of 18. Like, it's not great for milking cows, but it's great for building. And we started then in mid-January 2019.
Okay. And who was your builder? Who was the main contractor?
We had Mike Nolan Construction, MNC, a local guy, done a lot of work here before. I guess it was important that it wasn't just so much the finished product, but the person themselves.
Yes.
And so we had Mike Nolan doing the sheds, we had the concrete, we had John Norris doing the shed, we had Pat Brown doing the lagoon. So everyone, it was a sort of, make it as easy a process as possible.
Very good. Sure, we'll have a tour. And
yes, definitely.
More
do
detail.
come in and have a look.
Great. So, Ger, could you describe the shed? What size is it? How many cubicles? And the number of feet spaces?
God, now the number of cubicles, we've 196, Henry was saying. I reckon 180 cows is going to be the optimum number for managing that. We've plenty of feed spaces. We're restricted in the separation areas, where if we're using them for calving cows or bulling cows, we cut down on some of the feed space. With all year round and all day 24-hour feeding, it's not a very critical figure. But having sufficient cubicles and having sufficient space around feed passages and cubicle passages is key. And it was one of the design features that we worked very closely with John on, was to get great width anywhere cows are moving, to give them space.
Okay.
And one of the things I've seen in sheds, both at home and overseas, is cows getting into corners and heifers getting bullied. And
yes.
It needn't be the oldest cow. It can be sometimes an old cow gets beaten up by but they must have room to walk around and get away from one another.
Okay.
And that worked very well. We looked at various options for cubicles. We wanted to get the size right because the cows are going to be living in them for a good few hours every day. And we eventually went for a mattress versus a mat. They were competitively priced, but we saw them in various places and were very impressed with the comfort. They have a sort of 40 mil latex rubber above a crumb rubber mat.
Okay.
And there's a great deal of give. You can see, I don't know where the cows are standing in them, you can see where they give under their feet.
Yes.
Right? The cows are very content to lie down. We get a long period of rumination on the farm, which means the cows are very content in lying down.
What brand of cubicle or mat is it?
It's a Wilson Agri.
Right.
They're a Northern Ireland-based company. And again, as Henry said earlier, we worked with people that we felt were going to work with us. And we had a very good rapport with them. They delivered when they said they'd deliver, and their staff installed the mats and installed the cubicles very efficiently, and we haven't found a loose nut or a bolt yet.
Right.
We were happy with them.
I see you've quite a few number of crossovers down along.
Yeah, getting back to the point, cows need space to get around, and if they want to get away from one another or get away from whoever, it's key, and having width in those crossovers.
Yes.
It was, as I say, one of the design ideas was to try and make this as cow-friendly and animal welfare friendly as possible.
Okay.
I think we've achieved. There's nothing I'd change as yet.
Slurry management. Could you describe how the slurry's been managed here on the farm? Say,
Well,
within the
in
shed
terms of we're collecting everything in a passage or it's not a slatted tank as such. It's purely a channel,
Right.
And it goes out to an outdoor lagoon, and that was for cost reasons. To put slats in over a tank was the most expensive way of storing slurry. We could have done an overground tank. We have an overground tank in the old system, but the lagoon, I think, was a third the price of slatted tanks, and possibly a little less than the price of an overground tank.
Okay.
So the slurry moves out into a lagoon where it's definitely 3 foot of rain added to it every year, but it makes it very easy to spread. We spread it with an umbilical system. We've put pipes under the main road, so we can go to different parts of the farm. And it's a very efficient way of getting slurry out and utilising slurry properly.
Okay. What depth is your tank typically?
I think the tank is 4 foot deep.
Okay.
And there's a float of about 6 inches, maybe 7 inches of water in each tank, and each passageway there's a lagoon or a weir which holds back the water. So we haven't had any problems so far.
Okay. And any problems in the summer?
No.
Dry weather?
No.
Okay.
It's probably more of a problem when you have a lot of dry cows, because they're on a fairly high straw diet,
Right.
And they put out a fairly solid dung.
Okay.
But it all goes down. Once you've got that water underneath, I think it'll work.
Yes. And so you've the lily scraper here for cleaning then?
Yeah, we've 2 lily scrapers working up and down. If I did anything differently, I would try and have my crossover passages more frequent. We put in 3 passages, and I think we should have gone, for the length of the shed, we should have gone 4. The little scraper is pushing too much slurry for 12 or 13 cubicles. It's probably 8 cubicles is max.
Okay.
Maybe even more.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a concern that, there are days on a very loose diet after eating a lot of fresh grass when you feel that it just can't push sufficient slurry down the channel.
Okay. So on the roof then you went fibre cement?
Yeah, maintenance free. It's a very good product. We discussed it with John Norris. It was cost efficient. We went for a slightly higher pitch to try and get good ventilation. The cows are in here even on a hot, still day in the summer, and you got great air movement. There was no build-up of ammonia or anything from the slurry. So it seems to have worked.
Very good.
Yeah, I'd be happy with the fibre cement.
Could we have a look at your drafting area, so where you keep your cows, say, after milking?
Sure, okay.
Or AI
well,
or
the
whatever?
cows, they come through the 3 robots. The 2 robots on my left that I'm pointing at, they draft one after the other. So there's a gate which withholds them, and the cow waits until robot 2 is finished before she can go through, and then she's drafted out to the separation area. The robot number 3 on my right here, it'll draft straight through, and it's the robot we use for training heifers When cows are introduced into the herd after calving, it's robot 3 they go to because we've a gate we can squeeze them up into it, but it's not a major problem. And
Okay.
once they draft, then they exit into a separation area. So at that point, the cow can be drafted into a separation area and held for AI or treatment on the right, or she goes back out to the herd if she's just foot bathing.
So how often would a cow go through the footbath?
It goes through, the way it's set up is every cow with day 1 to day 70 lactation goes on Monday, 70 to 140, Tuesday 140 to 210, whatever. Every 70, if you know what I mean. So that they do, and that gets up to Friday. So nothing goes through Saturdays and Sundays. And she goes through, she can go through twice in the day. So if she milked and then went in again, she'd be twice. But the likelihood is she probably goes maybe, I'm going to say 4 in the morning and midday or something like that.
Okay.
You don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And it's, with the spread out calving, it means you've never, I think, got max it's about 60 or 70 going through it on the day.
Okay.
And the little eye up there, every 70 cows passes, it'll change the bath.
It'll clean out the
Flush
bat.
it,
Yeah.
flush it,
Yeah.
and it's either the blue is formalin, the other one is a
Proprietary
extra,
hoof count.
Yes.
Copper sulfate stuff in it, and it just alternates week to week.
Yes. Yes. Is this your own hoof tray here or crate?
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
Dave O'Keefe's one. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And
we
find
put-
it successful?
Very successful.
Unreal.
Yeah.
We
Just cows don't object the way they object to going into a lad pulling them up from behind. They just seem to turn. And one of the bits of advice she gave when it was dropped up here is put it on an angle. Don't have them going straight into it.
Okay.
Have them coming around a bend.
Okay.
It worked a treat.
Okay.
we do the drying off in that, so every cow gets dried off, and you trim her feed on the same day, and then when she calves down about 80 days in calf, they get, again, it's all automated. The machine will be a cow, could be one of those out there, because they're 80 days in milk, they'll come out and they get, I call it a trim and check program. So they'll get all 4 feet trimmed, singed, tails clipped, and just keeps them good for another 120 days or whatever.
Okay.
Drying off as a gift on it. Just the 4 teats are looking at you, your stuff.
Yeah.
You're absolutely getting them scrub clean.
And you've all the power.
Talk about the importance of drying off. It's going to be very topical at the moment. They talk about a 3-piece and person process. You've someone documenting it in the plate, one guy doing the dirty side of it, the cleaning, maybe the paper towel, and then the third guy is a super hygienic clean and gloves and all that.
Yes.
I do it here. I did 4 cows yesterday morning. It took me about an hour, but I did their feet the same time, and no dry cow tubes, because I know it's perfectly clean. There's no issue with that sort of, and it's just sealers, and it's, I don't know.
So how many cubicles have you here in the holding area over here?
There's 4.
4.
We have
Four
a
in
peat
the peat
bed.
bed.
Yeah.
We don't have the peat bed open very often, but if you have more cows, you can hold them up there.
And primarily, what are the cows here for then if they're in this side?
AI or treatment as a rule.
So you have a nice vet area here then, or for cleaning hands and
Yeah, an
Just-
AI.
handy.
This looked ridiculous to me on the sketches we did. What a waste of space this
Especially
was.
when this wasn't in it.
Yeah.
Before the tip
It
over
just
was in.
looked madness, but
Yeah.
it's absolutely, it works a treat.
Yeah. It's missing on a lot of farms.
You have AI, you have veterinary medicine behind a locked door.
I have 2 or 3 AIs, whatever, certainly coming up this time of year. And you're there and back and there and back. There's no issue. You're happy. The cow's issue, it can only help
Yeah.
conception.
Correct.
And there's everything is, like we said, the drugs are here. Everything is so...
They would have come up from the old parlour. They were all down below. That was a desk that a man made, I'd say, in 1950, and every cow that was milked was written on it. And I said we had to have that back here.
Yes.
And
so your calving area here, or maternity ward is here as such,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, they're on a fibre peat. They'll come up here 2 weeks before calving. They'll get fed a...
these are dry. These were some of the cows Henry only dried off yesterday.
Yeah.
The likes of them, but you have 1 or 2 fresh ones.
calved last night.
So we're in the heart of tillage country. No scarcity of straw. Why are you using peat?
Well, peat is a super product, number 1, for absorbency, and it's a lovely material for the cows to lie on. But the straw this year has been very expensive. Peat is much, much better value for money.
It's a lot less labour as well.
Lots less labour. We're not changing the peat very often, maybe twice a year. Get it delivered in by a lorry, big Arctic, and it just works a treat.
Ger, we discussed about your office. You didn't put the office up overhead over the robots. What was your reasoning behind that?
Well, the office, we're in there, and Henry's got a policy now of it's the first place he goes to in the morning. And he's looking at a computer about to see what the cows are, you know, if there's a sick cow or if there's bulling cows or whatever is on the screen. And it needs to be really accessible. Why would you be running up 20 treads of a step, you know, when it's on your doorstep? There was no benefit. We saw no benefit in sitting looking out over cows. Looking out over cows calving is quite beneficial.
Yes.
You can sit in there and look at a screen and keep an eye on a cow calving. But we went for the design we did, and it fitted in very well.
Okay, very good. Yeah.